there BookTube, Leanne here and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to tell you about the books that I read in October, so over the course of spooky season. I took part in the Spoopathon that's run over at Spooky Hall's channel. She had a Discord running for it and all that kind of stuff, and we had to escape a haunted house, which I will show you on my tablet in a minute. So I just thought we could jump straight into it and I'll do my wrap up for you guys, and you can see everything I read, what my thoughts were and all that kind of stuff. So let's just get onto the screen recording. Okay, so this right here, I'll budge up so that I can point here. Alright, so this is my front page that you may have seen on the thumbnail. So as you can see, I did this like spooky red moon tree witch raven type thing to make it all spooky. I thought it was pretty cool. And then I did this with the moon and stars to make it like nighttime with my shelf in the middle. So as you can see, I read all of these books. So the only book on here that you can see that I didn't end up getting to was The Lord of Eternal Night by Ben Alderson, and that's just because I ran out of time. So I threw on a few comics instead, and I couldn't get a hold of the book either, so that's the only reason for that. Let's move on to the first page of things that I read so I can start getting into a bit more detail. So the first thing I read in October was The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. One of the biggest reasons I deducted a point from it was because I still don't like Tom Bombadil, everyone. I can't. And he was there for far too long. Like, I can understand why people like him, kind of. And I get why he's there. But he sings too much, like that's all he does. And I just don't like his character. I'm sorry if you like Tom Bombadil. You have every right to like Tom Bombadil. I just don't. I can't. I could not wait to get past the chapters that he was in. The first part of the book I felt went kind of slow, but not really in a bad way. It was good to get to know all of the characters before we went on the big part of the journey with them. Especially when you were going to meet a bunch of other characters later. I still found it a little bit slow compared to what I read today, but that's fine. It's a classic. Classics tend to go slow a lot, so at least for me. But I really enjoyed the second half of the book. I liked when you got to meet Strider and his whole plotline. I really thought that was cool. I really enjoyed Sam's character, Samwise Gamgee. I know a lot of people don't because it's got this whole servant master thing going on, which I get. Some people think it's very much he's the servant and blah blah blah, which it is. I can clearly see that Sam is Frodo's servant, but I get the friendship feeling as well. I don't just get that. I don't feel like he's just a servant and that's it. I do see friendship sparking at least through the adventure. And I'm hoping that grows more and more as the story goes on. So yeah, I really enjoyed Lord of the Rings. I thought I'd do a nice little spread for it. I've done that for all the books I've read anyway, but I'm quite proud of this one. And like I say, I enjoyed the second half of the book a bit more than the first half, but that's because you get to see more of the characters that I enjoyed following. I really liked Gimli and Legolas's kind of friendship that started to spark and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely enjoyed it. Moving on to the second book I read in October, that was On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. This was a beautiful comic that I really, really enjoyed. I kind of read it in one sitting, even though it's a chunky comic. While my son was at school, I just kind of zoomed through it and I quite enjoyed it. I gave this a 4 stars as well. I really liked how it was 2 stories about the same person in 2 different times, and then those stories kind of interwove and came together to form the latter half of the comic, which was really, really cool to me. I liked the found family and how she originally felt like an outsider when she joined the crew and became part of the crew, and then how she kind of become part of the family and part of the crew. I think I'm a bit of a sucker for that. I really, really enjoy that kind of arc. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous artwork. So yeah, that's my thoughts on a Sunbeam. I thought it was lovely. So moving on to book 3 of October, and that was The House of Hades by Rick Riordan. So this is the 4th book in a series, so I'm not going to jump into this too much. But this was my favourite in the series so far, which is no surprise to anybody who knows me, because I adore underworld, like ancient underworld stuff. I just can't get enough of. So the fact that they were in the underworld for a big portion of this book, like, that is just for me. Like, I love that kind of story. I love like exploring the underworld and seeing what's down there in a book. I wrote my dissertation on the ancient underworld, so it's just, that's for me. I love that kind of stuff. So no wonder I gave this one a 4.5 stars. So this is one of the favourite books of this month. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed reading The House of Hades. And I think Nico's my favourite character. He's so cool. And I feel like a lot of the ways he feels and kind of is shown to be as a character, I kind of relate to him, like from when I was a teenager and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think he's pretty cool. And I'll move on to the next page. And I read Ice Whisperers by Helenka Stachura. I can't say that name. But yeah, this was a arc that I got sent by NetGalley, and I rated this a 3.5 stars. It was good. I enjoyed it. I'm probably not the right audience for it. I probably would have gobbled this up when I was younger though. So I definitely say that this is a good book for like young teenagers, maybe a little younger than that even. I think it's middle grade. So I thought it was pretty cool. It's a polar fantasy, as you can see by the cover. It's got lots of birds and all that kind of stuff. There's 3 birds that kind of are the gods of the spirit realm, or the people who rule it, basically. The birds that rule it. But yeah, it was a lovely little story to follow. There was nothing really wrong with it. I suppose I just wasn't wonderfully the audience for it. It's a really cool book. Basically, there's this girl who she doesn't know her parents. She's been raised by her aunt, who is quite nasty. And then when her mother dies, she gets sent back to live with her uncle in Siberia. And basically, things are a bit strange. She doesn't know what's going on. Why is it that she's being summoned only after both of her parents are gone, and all this kind of stuff? And so that's her discovering what that's all about. So there's stuff uncovered where she about the spirit world, and where like stuff about her parents and what they were trying to discover, because they were both like discovering things. I can't really say much without spoiling stuff, so I would highly recommend this to younger readers anyway. It's definitely a really cool middle grade. I definitely want to get into more middle grade at some point, so I'm going to keep trying to read one every now and again just to see what I think and where I stand with the whole middle grade situation. So that's Ice Whisperers. After that, I jumped into the Sandman comic that I borrowed from the library. I thought this was pretty cool, actually. It's very dark. I would also look for trigger warnings regarding these comics, because they are very dark and they can be very heavy. I gave this a 4 stars. I really enjoyed the personification of Sleep, who's also called Morpheus, and all that kind of stuff. He has basically been captured by humans. They were trying to summon death to try and stop death from happening, and got Sleep instead, and lots of weird things start happening because they've captured him, like obviously based around sleep and nightmares and people not waking up and all that kind of stuff. I thought this was a really cool spread that I made. I was quite proud of this one. But yeah, it's quite creepy. It's um, obviously horror, and I don't normally jump into horror, but I thought I'd give this one a go. It's been on my TBR on Goodreads for ages, so I thought I'd finally delve into it. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I think it's one of those I can only take in small doses, so I can read one volume every now and again. And I think that's just based around it being quite dark and heavy for my tastes anyway. I'm not used to reading horror, so it's just going to be I'll pick one up whenever I feel like it, basically. But yeah, definitely a 4 stars, definitely enjoyed it. And then after that, I picked up another arc that I got sent from NetGalley, and that is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. It was pitched as like a Goose Girl retelling, a thief who gets cursed because she basically robs the wrong people, and she picks up an item that summons this god that ends up cursing her. And yeah, she gets cursed to the point where if she doesn't break the curse within 2 weeks, she turns into a pile of gems, so that she gets to feel what it's like when people are greedy and when she's really wanted in that greed kind of way, if that makes sense. But yeah, I thought this was really cool. I gave this a 4 stars. Or was it? No, I gave it a 3.5 stars. Again, I don't think there was much wrong with it. It could have had a few things added here and there. I think I'm getting a bit more critical with my rating now. I did really enjoy reading this book, so I don't think 3 stars is a bad thing. I just think that it just says that things can be improved on, maybe with the next book and stuff like that. That's why I gave it 3.5, because it wasn't quite a 4, but I still quite enjoyed it. So I would recommend it to people who enjoy retellings, like books with curses in. This is a brilliant one that I've never seen before. People who like small gods being in the world and gods playing a kind of biggish part in the world in the story. I really liked the fact that the main characters' mums were Fortune and Death, like her godmothers, which was pretty. I really thought that was so cool. But I haven't got a whole lot bad to say about this book, apart from the fact that there were kind of, I don't know, like holes in the story or something along those lines. Things kept falling into place a bit too easily for my liking. It was just little nitpicky things like that, really. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was cool. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous cover for this book. I thought that really drew me in, to be fair. It's a beautiful, beautiful cover. So that was another thing I read in October. And then I moved on to the Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan, the third book in the Wheel of Time series that I'm doing every month. I'm reading one book a month. So in November, I'll be moving on to the Shadow Rising, I think the fourth one's called. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It was another 4 stars. I've been giving them all 4 stars so far. Hopefully, somewhere along the lines I can give something a 5 star. That would be really cool if I could. But this one was a 4 again. Got to know the characters better. Some of the characters that I didn't know so well throughout the first 3 books became more prominent, and I got to know them better, which was really, really cool. The ending of this book, I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying it was a bit cheesy and kind of campy. You can tell it's kind of classic fantasy sometimes. But yes, not even in a bad way. I loved how campy it was. It made me giggle. It was really funny. Apparently this is the campiest out of all the books, according to somebody I was talking to. But I did really enjoy this one again. So I'm not going to get into it because it's the third book in a series. Just wanted to let you know my thoughts, how I rate it and all that kind of stuff. So moving on, after that, I read An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. This is my first book by this author. And I really enjoyed this. This is another one that's at the top of my ratings of this month. I think the highest rating I gave in October was 4.5. So yes, 4.5 stars. I was really, really like focused and like intrigued by this book. It really held me all the way through. I will say the first part didn't hold me so much, but as soon as I started reading part two, I just could not put this book down. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this. There were lots of themes. I would look up trigger warnings for this as well, because there is like reference to like sexual assault and a lot of racism and classism and all that kind of stuff. But I thought this was handled like, from what I know and what other people have said, it's handled really, really well. And I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this book. And the themes were explored really well, as far as I'm aware. I gave it a 4.5 stars because I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing the live show by the Interstellar Book Club, because unfortunately it's had to be postponed, which is perfectly fine. But I'm looking forward to seeing that and seeing other people's thoughts, because I'm excited to talk to people about it. It's basically about this person who has been orphaned. She lost her mum when she was born, but they're like on this big huge spaceship, and that's like humanity is on this ship, headed towards somewhere that I don't think we know about in the beginning, so I won't say. But she's like bottom of the hierarchies, like or like in the middle somewhere, but she's very low in the hierarchies because it's very classist. Like at the top of the ship is the people who are up high. They, you know, live in luxury, have all the heating and all that kind of stuff. The people lower decks don't have the heating. They have to rely on like warm clothing if they can get it and all that kind of stuff. So our main character is a doctor, or the closest you could get to a doctor. She's been trained to be a medical professional by other medical professionals. And so we see a character that, even though they're looked down on quite a bit, and, you know, the surgeon is apparently quite high in the hierarchy, the actual surgeon who she trained under. And so she gets a lot of passes. And we see the main character kind of deal with lots of bad things happening around them. And like I say, I don't want to spoil things for you, but a lot of bad is happening on this ship. The guards are very corrupt, and yet they're seen as like very close to God and all that kind of stuff. Like they can do no wrong. And we see like how that affects these people, and how they might rebel against it and that kind of stuff. And it's a really, really cool book, and all the themes that are explored are it's very, very interesting to see what would happen and what pans out. I've been exploring sci-fi a lot, so I definitely wanted to get into this. So moving on, I read Saga Volume 3 by Brian K. Vaughan. And yeah, I gave this one a 3.5 stars. I don't think this is my favourite in the series. I've been given the other ones like 4 stars and stuff like that. Again, it was good. There wasn't much wrong with it. It was just, I don't know, it wasn't as intriguing as the first two, in my opinion. Again, some really cool things happened. I enjoyed it, and that's fine. This is just my rating, my thoughts. It was cool to get to know all the characters again better and better, see this baby start growing up, and see like, because I think it's the baby but in the future, so the character as an adult telling the story to us, and so we see her thoughts a lot as well. But yeah, it was really cool to explore the bad guys, or the people hunting these characters. It was cool to explore their story as well, because they're not totally bad or anything like that. They all have their own lives, their own thoughts, and I really like seeing the bad guys of a story explored and why they're doing what they're doing as well. So I quite like that. I also read Volume 2 of Sandman. Again, similar thoughts, another 4 stars. We got to meet Death in this one, which was really cool because, again, I really like personifications of death. I like the underworld and all that kind of stuff, so it all really intrigues me. But I think I am going to have to put Sandman down for a while and come back to it later because it is very heavy and very dark. And I can only take that in certain amounts of doses. So, again, I'll get back to it eventually. And I thought it's really cool. Hi guys. So I just now realised that I didn't record my Spoopathon spread. So I thought I'd quickly show you that. Cat's being silly. So I thought I'd quickly show you that here on my tablet. So here is the page showing which routes I went on. My team was the Ghouls Just Want to Have Fun. As you can see in the bottom right corner there. I'll just zoom in on it. We could skip one prompt on our first path through. So that's what I did with non-fiction because it's not something I tend to read. So this page here shows my first run through the haunted house. So I first read a comfort reread, and for me that was The Fellowship of the Ring, as I told you before I read that. And that was a buddy read as well, so I got more points for doing that. And then I read 2 graphic novels, so I stayed on this prompt for 2 books. And that was On a Sunbeam and Sandman, Volume 1. And they both got me extra prompts as well, as you can see. So On a Sunbeam gave me features team colour, which was blue for me, as well as LGBTQIA plus rep. And then Sandman had LGBTQIA plus rep as well, as it was a buddy read and a spooky read. So then I skipped non-fiction. And then I got my trick or treat thing, which was the treat prompt, and that was to read The House of Hades by Rick Riordan. It had LGBTQIA plus rep in it, so I got extra points for that. I genuinely didn't think I was going to get extra points for that book specifically, but it surprised me. And then I read Ice Whisperers for the Read It After Dark prompt. I just read it in the evening. And then I got 100 points for escaping the house. And then I jumped back into the house and I combined the prompts of Gifted to You and Autumnal Cover to read Little Thieves. This also gave me extra points for being LGBTQIA+, and featuring the team colour. So then I jumped on the Dragon Reborn, which was plus 500 plus pages and also a buddy read. And then my diverse rep was An Unkindness of Ghosts, which was a buddy read. It had LGBTQIA plus rep and was spooky and recommended to me. And that was recommended to me by the Install Book Club because it was their pick for that month. So I've never read anything by Rivers Solomon before. And then I read 2 Read It After Dark books to finish up and escape the haunted house. So I read Sandman Volume 2 and Saga Volume 3. So Sandman got me a buddy read, spooky book, team colour and LGBTQIA extra prompts. And then Saga got me cover features team colour as well as LGBTQIA plus rep. So overall I gained my team 1,550 points, which was pretty cool. Okay, back to Past Me. Sorry I forgot to do this. That was everything I read in October. So as you can see here, this is everything I read. A little sneak peek of things that I bought. But yeah, this is just my page on. Just if I want to see what I read that month, I can look here. It's like a quick glance. So yeah, they were my thoughts on everything I read. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or enjoyed them or not enjoyed them. I'd love to hear what you think. What you think of my journal, because I love showing that to you and sharing it with you. I'm sorry, by the way, that I haven't done as many videos as I normally do. I don't know if you can tell, but my voice is kind of bad and I keep having a bad cough and stuff. I keep getting ill because my son's at nursery, basically, and I catch everything that he catches, and it's just awful. But I'm hoping to get more regular updates again and back onto a regular schedule. These past few months have just been weird. and not normal for my family, basically. But yeah, that's everything I read in October. I hope you had a lovely month, a lovely Halloween, a lovely reading month, and I'm going to say happy reading to you guys for November, and I will see you in my next video. TTFN, bye bye!